What's up, guys? GrimXV here, bringing you another quick Vrising video. Wanted to talk about a couple things today, and if you can't tell already, today's video is going to be unscripted for the most part, but wanted to mainly just kind of look at the new blog. There's a couple things I wanted to go over there, and then I'm going to jump over to looking at some base location stuff and then talk about the rating changes and my plans for 1.1. For those that missed it, this blog actually launched yesterday morning, and it is largely a lore based blog, but there is some stuff like we get a sneak peek at the map, and then there are two V-Bloods that were announced that I don't think we've caught wind of before, which are Lucille and Dantos. Before we look at the map, all I want to say about those two is they are pretty sick looking boxes. I think Lucille is going to be the alchemist, probably in that really cool alchemy village we saw in the trailer. And then Dantos, I actually think might be the guy that gives us the fusion forge. And I say that just because his name is actually Dantos the Forge Binder. And then if you look at his weapon actually looks like it's got kind of like the purple and blue variant of the weapons kind of combined. So I think that was their hint to us there. Moving on to quickly looking at the map, there's not too much detail here, but we do see a few base locations. Namely, the two most prominent, I think, are these two here, which seem to be single entrance locations. And then I think we can make out probably about three more for sure, maybe one additional one. So looks like we can see at least 5 to 6 locations on the map. Now, I don't know what you all were expecting. I personally would like to see a lot more, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. I am happy that we have a new addition, and I'm sure the new area is going to be awesome to explore, so can't wait to do that. That said, the map is changing quite a lot. We do have three new connections. Looks like one upper part that's connecting from Gloomrot, a part that's going to be connecting to kind of like a central hub between Gloomrot North, Silverlight, and Dunley, and then that lower connection there just to the south of the silver mine. So that's pretty interesting. And for those that missed it, Terrible Timmy did a video talking about his thoughts as well. If you don't know who he is, he's another player, another content creator for Vrising that's been around a really long time. Awesome guy, done a couple whites with him, so definitely go check out his video and his content as well. But in his video, I actually watched that on my lunch break yesterday, and he was talking about his thoughts on the changes and some of the stuffs he was eyeing, base plots, and also some implications for Mortium. And I'm not going to spoil his video for those wanting to watch it. Definitely go check that out, but I do want to kind of touch on some of the things he said, because I think it is important for everyone to kind of consider, and so I'm going to maybe expand on that a little bit. To do that, I'm going to be using a website called Genie. For those that don't know it, this is a website that has everything you could possibly want to know in the game, and this is based on user input. So because of that, I would say proceed with caution, but this is still a useful tool. Now, there can be errors, and what I'm going to do for today is I'm going to go ahead and hide all, and then I will do show waygates and caves. Now, because I know where the errors are, I've already kind of gone in and just graded those out, which are anyone wanting to see the same view, this, and this are the errors on the website. So definitely don't pay attention to those. But everything else is pretty much correct. So what we can see from this view, especially when we compare it with the other map, is just how different the region has changed. But mainly the most important thing I wanted to go over is the waygate and cave locations. Now, we don't know for sure if there's going to be a cave exit in the new zone, but I think there probably will be, and we can kind of make some assumptions if there are as well. For those that don't know, all of the cave systems in Vrising all end in Farbane. They aren't two-way, they all just come back to Farbane. So if you look at the caves and the way they work, you look at Cursed Forest Cave, it kind of cuts diagonal across the map. It comes out over here in West Farbane. We have the one in Gloomrot that comes down kind of just almost straight central. It comes out right here. Dunley's Cave comes out right here, and then Silverlight also cuts across the map and comes out in East Farbane here. Now, I may be wrong, because my theory is that because Cursed Forest and Silverlight kind of intersect and cross the map, that the one we get from the new zone may be doing that as well, so we might end up somewhere in East Farbane. But I could be wrong, because that doesn't necessarily hold true for the Gloomrot and Dunley farmlands. But if I was to make a guesstimate, that would be my guess, is that we're going to get another East cave exit somewhere in Farbane. But that said, I wanted to talk about base locations and kind of what I think is going to be strong, especially when you consider the raid changes that are coming. Anyone that has missed it or is just clicking on this for the first time, kind of hearing this, the raid changes I'm talking about are that staircases are going to place your castle under attack. And I want to go ahead and clear this up, because I've seen a lot of comments and people kind of confused about the change. This does not mean that staircases are useless. Staircases still can't be broken. The only changes that are happening is that if someone attacks them with a golem, or at least I hope it's with just a golem, if someone attacks them, they will place your castle in an attack timer. And then door frames and pillars, in the current version of the game, they are invulnerable if you don't place a door in the door frame. That's going to change, so that now, even if the door frame is empty, or even if you just have a random pillar somewhere, they can be broken and destroyed like normal. So what that means is that while we still be able to use we will be able to use staircases for chokes and things, and kind of direct people how to go through our base the way we are currently, but we can't do all of the weird door frame mazing and all those kind of abuse cases that you see with certain plots, where they're just essentially forcing you to walk the golem and waste time. So I think this came up on the creator huddle we kind of did on Twitch that Civil Spectre hosted. I do think this is a positive change. I think a lot of PvPers in the community think so too, and I don't think it's going to change as much as people are thinking. So that said, I do want to give you guys my thoughts on what would be the best base plots. So the best plots with in-game farming in mind for Stygian shards are the West Farbane plots, which are always going to think I think this entire West Farbane area is going to be always kind of the just best location in the game for PvP. And the reason for that is because you have the north connection here to Silverlight, and then also, as Timmy pointed out, the cave exit up here goes directly here from Cursed Forest. So if you're farming shards, basically what you do to get them home is you just run up here, take the cave exit, pop out, and you're right here at base. And then you also have access to all of the crystal you need over here in Cursed Forest. You also have access to Gloomrot if you wanted to take this cave. That cave is still relatively close. So it's almost like when you look at Farbane and just kind of how things are set up, it's almost like SOS said, okay, let's split it down the middle. The left half of the map is going to be for PvP, and then we're going to make some nice, pretty multiple entrance bases for our PvE enjoyers on the right side. Or at least that's what it seems like to me. But because of that, West Farbane always solid. The other two picks I always consider are this base right here is also really good. I know in my Stygian farm video I said I think this is the best base location, and it's definitely still very, very good. And it may very well be the best just because you do get access to the carriages and all that. But what I will say is that from a progression standpoint, just through all the acts, I think West Farbane, namely locations like this one here, are probably still going to be a little bit better in terms of progression speed. And that's just because of the cave exit. I mean, at every stage of the game, you have quick loot runs that you can get back to base, and it's just going to help you kind of do your run, get back to base, and progress through the acts that much quicker. Now, for those eyeing this spot, I do want to say this goes very quickly on wipe day. So unless you're like the first handful in, you're probably not going to get this spot. You can try, But people will usually prioritize just skipping the Alpha Wolf Rush on the right side and all that. They will just gun directly for this base plot. But there are some others that you can still get that are very, very good. The ones that I always go for that I think are best, you have this location. I really, really like this location as well. The reason why I like this one is because raiders, it's kind of narrow, so raiders are forced to just progressively go through all of your defensives. There's no real way to skip anything. And then the other locations I like are this one. This is what we call the Hogwarts plot. You can do some interesting things here with sun traps and all that stuff. This is also where I did my Bloodsong Manor build. And then the other two that I think are top tier are this plot location and this one. But there's still a lot of other good ones, right? While those may be the best for the area, you still have areas like this, which is good. I've built there plenty of times. You have this one, this one, and then even over here, like if you're just completely out of luck, you can go there too. I'd still consider that to be not that bad of a plot. The only one I would like not really ideally want for single entrance is kind of this one. And it doesn't matter for too long, but early on when you're trying to get your base built out, if you don't have like walls set up, or if you don't really fortify yourself in, it's easy for someone in this plot to kind of jump down on the backside and kind of grief you and steal your stuff. So that can be kind of annoying, but you can prevent that. It's just I don't usually like to deal with that. So that covers West Farbane. Now, the other area up here, I really like this plot. I've always liked this plot, and I'm actually considering this plot for one of my runs in 1.1. It's just difficult to build in, so I actually don't recommend it. If you are eyeing this and you're not experienced at building or not confident in defense, I would just go for this one. This one's a very defensible plot. It gives you plenty of room. You can still do some interesting things for defense and race tracking on it too. The reason why I like this one is just because it has fishing spots. There's no real other reason. I just love the fact that you can just fish from right there at your base. It's convenient. For those unaware, the detriments of this is that you can bat form here, and then also when raiding, once the defenders break through, I believe about this point or maybe right here, they can just skirt the whole backside here and get in, and if you have your heart set up here, it's really easy pickings, right? You can just break that wall and then you're right there at your base. So the way you have to build this is you have to put your heart here, you have to put small bombs here and here just so they can't bat form, and then you have to get kind of creative with how you do the choke, because it doesn't even line up directly with the builds, the bridge here, so it can be a little annoying. But those are what I would consider kind of top tier spots. Now, if you can't get one of those, or if you just don't want to do the whole Farbane thing, then there are a lot of other single entrance plots that I think are going to be good still. In Farbane specifically, I think this plot is going to be really good still. These two are still solid. And unfortunately, that might be about it for Farbane, just because really once you get out of the western region, it just opens up. I mean, you look at all these multiple entrance bases, they're not bad per se for early on, but whenever you get towards raiding, it's just never good to kind of have more than one flank, because you can't set up your traps the way you need to funnel them in. This one here, I guess, is another one that's not too bad. It's not as good as it once was, because you used to be able to not place a golem in this kind of courtyard area, but they did go and fix that, which is probably a good thing. It was kind of abusive. Quickly touching on the other areas, we have over here in the Hallowed Mountains, this plot is really good. This one is runner up. In Dunley, we already talked about this plot being really good. I like this one. This one is really good as well. For those on my quad servers, since you will have two castle hearts, you can make the decision to kind of do a double defense setup here. Namely, the way that works is this would be your main castle. You would have kind of like a Fa base here that's mostly just for garden or whatever else, but the idea is you have a double wide door at this opening here that you could front load with servants, and then you could even fit in a side door here with some banshees that you can trigger, and it kind of forces raiders to have to go through two sets of defenses, right? You have the servants in this area, and then also your servants in this choke here, and you're just defending the raid in this courtyard. So it can be pretty difficult to break through that. But other than that, the other locations that are decent are going to be this one and this one. Now, Timmy was talking about this location in his video up here. I do think this is going to be good, especially when you consider all of the different resources he mentioned. I mean, you're centralized to glass, iron, power cores, mutant grease, all those things. It's going to be very good. This is a primo spot that was from pre-Gloomrot. The only thing I don't like is the bridge. And it may not be an issue, but I don't remember if the ability to place a staircase on bridges to block them off, I don't remember if that was taken out of the game. If it's not, then these are going to be very good plots that you could go for, both of them actually. But if you can't block off that bridge, it just provides kind of a weak point to the base that I don't really want to go for. More so for quads, I would say. Duo, it might not be that bad, but basically what that does is if you are fighting here in the front and you get breached, it just allows for someone to land here in bat form and then start picking their way through the backside of your base, right? They can't fly with the golem, and I don't remember if they can fly with the key. I guess I'll check that and put that kind of on the screen here if you can. But yeah, I just don't like to deal with that aspect. It's very annoying to try to fight on two fronts like that, especially when you play mostly solo like I usually do. Going to Silverlight, the only two plots that I would consider base again for PvP here are going to be these two, just the two single entrances, with this one here being the best. And then for Gloomrot, this one is probably the best plot I would say in the entire area for a singular base. The other ones I think are going to be really good are going to be this one here, this one when you build from the second choke for both of these actually. And then also the spot up here is really solid. North Gloomrot, the only base I ever really consider setting up here is this one, and this is because this is another double base spot, and the way it works here is your double wide would go here, and then also you can fit a door on the side there to trigger banshees too, so you would fight in this area kind of down on the ramp for that, with this being your main base. So that's everywhere in the current game that I think I would set up. For those wondering why I didn't mention like this plot here in Dunley, I think it's still going to be good when you set up from this second tier choke, but this is one of the plots in particular that got really crazy with all the kind of door frame abuse. Like what you would do is mostly they would set up their choke here, and then all this area down here would just be staircases and empty door frames just to kind of create a annoying hedge maze almost, or invulnerable door frame maze that they had to walk the golem through, and that's not really going to be a thing anymore. So you're almost forced to either just create this as a sun trap, or start your choke from here, or just try to like defend both entrances somehow. So I think you can still make it work. I just don't think it's going to be as good as the other areas I highlighted just now. For the new zone, obviously we can't really tell too much, but these two single entrance plots here, just based on what we can see in the detail, I think those two are going to be very good. And then I'm not sure about the other ones. I don't really know where they're going to fall yet. We'll have to get our hands on the map or get in game to kind of see better. But that's my thoughts on base location. Now, as far as my plans go for the wipe, I want to do something a little different. Usually whenever I do wipes, I usually go for the most optimal route just to kind of like speed run the game and then get into PvP content right away. But I don't want to do that this time. I want to kind of take my time, enjoy the game, try to build some interesting builds. And I thought a cool way to do that would also be to just give you guys a perspective of what not a perfect run is. Because, you're not always going to get the best base location. You're not always going to get a single entrance base. You're not always going to have kind of just that picture perfect run. So what I may do is set up maybe in the new zone, or I might go like straight to Curse Forest just for kind of like a challenge run and with the fog and all that. So it'll be one of those two. We'll see. I'll give it some more thought, but I'm going to be choosing a base that is inopportune. This means either not a single entrance base, or a base with a choke that's harder to build, or maybe both. So just to give you guys that aspect. And then what I'm also going to do is do a base that is based on form and function, kind of like my build that I did here. So I'll have just an initial choke or maybe an upper tier choke that I build for PvP, and then I'm gonna make the rest of the build nice and pretty, and we'll see what happens, right? We'll see how badly I get griefed. We'll see what the PvP experience is like doing that. For anyone that's curious, I'm sure it'll be a blast. So that's my plans. I do want to mention one more thing that I kind of forgot to go over while talking about the bases, the cave system. The other way you should be thinking about this, other than just raiding, or I kind of got ahead of myself, other than just resources, is raiding, because these base locations here are good for resources and getting them to your base. But if you're someone who is afraid of getting raided or doesn't want to open themselves up to getting raided, you should maybe consider not doing one of these locations. And to explain on that, for anyone that watched my castle defense video, I kind of set up out of this base plot, and when I did get raided with the shards, it went on for it was like a week-long thing of just getting raided 2 hours every day constantly. And you couldn't really end the raid, because what happens is every time you manage to get a kill and you get resources from them, you get some golems, you get keys, bombs, whatever, all it takes for them to resupply the raid is someone unstucking or reviving in base, and then they just hit one of the caves exits with the bombs and golems, and then they're right back on top of you, right? And I mean, that takes almost no time at all. We're talking under 5 minutes here. So it kind of creates like a perpetual defense situation whenever you're set up in these locations, just because it is so easy to get resources back to sustain the raid. Now, the benefit for someone that wants to raid in these areas is that if you do manage to win the raid on someone that is on the other end of one of these cave exits, so like, if you're raiding a guy here or one of the bases here, it is going to be a lot quicker to get those resources back home once you have them defenseless, because you'll just do a loot run, hit a cave, unstuck, go back to the nearest teleporter, and kind of rinse and repeat until you get everything you want. But all that said, if I was a new player or someone that kind of just wants to progress through the game and not really have to worry about raiding a whole bunch, then I would consider one of these single entrance spots up here, on the northern side of the map, or maybe somewhere in Dunley, that's not too close to a cave exit. And the reason being is that a lot of the times when you're raiding someone or in a raid defense situation up here, when someone comes to you for a raid, they have to bring everything they think they're going to need for that raid. This means they have to bring 4 or 5 golems, if not more. They've got to bring a handful of bombs. And while raiding, unless they're very good and patient, it's not that hard to die in a trap, especially if you do a really good choke setup. So it makes it really easy to kind of shut down the raid right away. You get one kill, you get the bombs from the guy or whatever they need to do the raid, and then that's it. They have to reset, go back to base, and get everything back. And it takes a lot longer up in these plots, so it gives you plenty of time to repair your base and revive servants. So that is just something to think about. Now, for those playing quad servers, because you won't have the single heart, it may be a little bit different, just because a lot of times what raiders would do on quad servers is they'll build a forward base. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're set up here and you've got your defenses and all that set up. This is another double base plot, by the way. You can set up a double wide entrance there. But let's say you're set up here and you're set up here because you don't want to get raided or whatever, and all someone wanting to raid you is going to do is put a raid forward base in one of these slots. So maybe this plot is empty, or this one, they'll plop down a heart there, just build a simple stone base with like a little small choke or something, and then they will fund the raid from this base. Like right before raid window, they'll move all their resources in that they need to do the raid, and then raid you from that plot until they eventually wear you down. So just some final food for thought there. Hopefully this video wasn't too long for you guys. I try to do my best not to ramble when I do these no script videos, but that is everything I wanted to cover, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it there. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I've also seen one last thing really quick. I've seen some comments on my PvP blueprint video talking about You know, are you putting it out too early? We've got changes coming. I don't want you guys to stress and worry. I definitely understand that there are changes coming to the game. I plan on covering them in the guide as well. These first few videos are just really to help anyone new or returning to the game kind of get their feet under them, right? Get an understanding of what weapons are used for and how they come into play in combat. But I will be continuing the series in 1.1 and also releasing updates on my combo spreadsheet and covering, you know, the new artifacts, new combos with weapons, all that good stuff, right? So don't worry, I got you. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut it there, guys. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. This is GrimXV signing off.